Interest in OTs, and even their use, has been increasing. Yet, within DoD leadership, there's no discernible champion. Why do you think that is?
I think you're right. I think there is no discernible champion, despite the fact that there are leaders who are saying positive things about other transactions. When other transactions started, there was a very clear leader and champion. The director of DARPA took a personal interest in the original OTs at the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, and I was there as the sort of the right-hand man to spread the word, and we were serious about education as well as really exploring the potential of other transactions. In the department today, at the very highest level of the acquisition community, we have a split between the Undersecretary for Acquisition and Sustainment and the Undersecretary for Research and Engineering. I mean, research and engineering, I mean, just think of those words, I mean, are interested in what? They're interested in technology and technology development, and sometimes the process by which you execute those things doesn't look as important as the projects themselves. Acquisition and sustainment clearly has a role in running the DoD acquisition system. The DoD Instruction 5000.2 falls under the bailiwick of the Undersecretary of Defense for Acquisition and Sustainment. The FAR system also falls in that bailiwick and is the responsibility of the Director for Pricing and Contracting. Well, the Office of the Director of Pricing and Contracting is imbued in the FAR system and expert in the FAR system, and does not necessarily have any particular expertise with respect to other transactions. So the key staff official reporting to the Undersecretary doesn't have necessarily the insights or the inspiration to really push other transactions. The chief vehicle for acquisition education, the Defense Acquisition University, is emphasizing FAR and 5000.2 perspective. So at the very highest leadership levels and at their staff functions that would normally champion, would be the leaders in pursuing OT education, OT use, exploring putting the different OT authorities together to create an alternative acquisition system. There's no one person that has taken on that role, and there is no OT czar, there is no person, no staff person tapped to be the OT advocate. There is a former Undersecretary of Defense for Acquisition Technology and Logistics who wrote an article in Bloomberg magazine a year or so ago, pointing out that one of the problems with OTs was the lack of OT education, that the workforce didn't have the tools, the educational tools, the experiential tools that it needed to actually address OT issues and execute appropriately. That was a really amusing comment by Undersecretary Kendall, since it was his responsibility when he was in that position to have seen to it that the workforce was educated, and in fact Congress directed the Secretary of the Department of Defense to assure that the workforce that was involved in OTs were properly educated. So that's one part of the question, and then the second part of the question, the lack of a champion in part stems from the fact that our senior leaders, while they understand that there's some benefit from OT, don't really understand that they could become the complete alternative to the traditional acquisition system. I mean, the Defense Science Board in 2009, in its report of fulfillment of urgent operational needs, pointed out that we could create an alternative system, and that we needed to use all the contracting authorities like OTs, as well as all the personnel authorities, to bring in people with a new mindset and new skills to create this alternative system. And we just have lacked a leader who has the vision to execute that 2009 Defense Science Board study. And while there are younger people in executive positions, career positions, as well as political positions that are sympathetic to OTs, none of them has really stepped up to be that champion that you mentioned. I mean, any of the assistant secretaries of the military departments could become the leader in directing that science and technology projects within their department be executed as OTs, in directing program executive officers to become well schooled in prototype OTs and use them as the core for their new acquisition programs. The potential for a champion is clearly there. No one has actually stepped up because there's no one in the department that understands how important business processes are to getting away from the cost too much, takes too long paradigm that we're in the traditional system.
If you would like to learn more about other transactions, please visit strategicinstitute.org.